Hello, I'm Cindy Arenberg-Seltzer, President and CEO of the Children's Services Council of Broward County. Welcome to another edition of Future First, Focus on Broward's Children. Ranked as among the top 10 community colleges in the nation by the Washington, D.C.-based Aspen Institute, Broward College is one of the most diverse colleges in America, enrolling nearly 70,000 students from more than 150 countries of origin. Since moving away from the traditional community college model a few years ago, Broward College has added baccalaureate programs in targeted workforce areas and provides career opportunities for students and a trained workforce for business and industry. Under the leadership of President J. David Armstrong, new programs in manufacturing and new workforce bachelor's degrees in science, math, engineering, and technology, also known as STEM, areas have been added to serve student and community needs. Tapping into the energies of the vibrant, dynamic, diverse, and multi-generational student body it serves, Broward College plays a pivotal role in offering a curriculum designed to create opportunities for the jobs of today and tomorrow. Today, I'm happy to visit with President Armstrong, who is hosting us in his downtown Fort Lauderdale office, to talk about some of the new and ongoing Broward College initiatives and community partnerships, especially those that more closely benefit children, youth, and families. So let's talk about some of these.
Great.
Hey,
Thank
David.
You. Hi.
Thanks so much for hosting us.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor.
It's quite exciting for me, too. You're going to be my first one-on-one interview.
Wow.
So thank you for doing that.
I'm honored. Thank you. I didn't realize you were so multi-talented. You know, I know how talented you are working with Children's Services Council in the community and things that we participate in a lot, but I've discovered a new talent you have now.
There you go. TV host.
There you go.
Who knew? So I want to start with something that we have been working on together that's not necessarily directly related to children, but it is about something that's near and dear to both of our hearts, and that's civic engagement and civil discourse.
Yes.
And so you brought to this community the Village Square. Can you talk a little bit about the Village Square concept and why you thought it was so important to bring it to Broward?
Well, thank you, Cindy, and thank you for being a member of the advisory committee for the Village Square as well. Village Square idea is going back to the notion of what we used to do a lot more in America, talk civilly about important issues, regardless of where we are on the political spectrum. Too often today, I think you and I and others worry that people watch too much Fox News or MSNBC or their political brand of television, where there are talking heads just telling us the same things we already think and believe and reinforcing that, sometimes not totally open and complete view of various important issues. So the Village Square idea is to bring people together in our community, have a panel that discusses a broad range of the issues that we pick. We have, as honorary co-chairs, Mayor Jack Seiler, who has been a Democrat in his past, and Chip LaMarca, who's a county commissioner, has been a Republican. And so they represent the broad diversity, and they're very involved, as you know, on our advisory committee as we have committee meetings and discuss what the topics should be. We started last year and we had a wide range of important discussions on everything from immigration issues to stand your ground laws. This year we have now launched and started off with a month or so ago, I guess, a conversation about the opening up of relations with Cuba and what that means, where we had Archbishop Winsky and other panelists who represented a wide range of opinions, very strongly felt and held by people on those issues. And just last night, we had a new version of what we've started too, a free and open session that we call Takeout Tuesdays now, and that discussion had a panel where we talked about issues around raising the minimum, the minimum wage. So we had Commissioner Dale Holness, who was promoting the need to raise minimum wage to try to lift up people in our community who are perhaps struggling to be able to have sustainable earnings and to support their family. We had Dan Lindblade from the Chamber of Commerce talking about the challenges to some businesses, especially small businesses, who might not be able to handle raising the minimum wage. And then we had the Executive Vice President for JM Family Enterprises, which not too long ago announced that they are raising the starting salary for all of their employees to $16 an hour, far more than the minimum wage, to try to lift them up, to retain employees, to make them more productive employees. And so it was a very healthy discussion. I was really thrilled. We had a sold-out crowd of, at both of our sessions this year have been. Very well attended and very robust discussion, but done civilly. So I think I had wonderful comments from people who were there last night, as well as the first session on the Cuba immigration issue, that they learned things and heard things that they hadn't heard before, which is one of the goals.
Right.
Who knows if anybody's opinion really changes on things, but I think on several of these issues, there are probably a lot of us who are maybe in the middle on the issue and we're struggling with, where would we go? The minimum wage issue is going to be something that we all will be involved in because there potentially next year going to be new ballot initiatives in Florida for constitutional amendment changes. There are votes that potentially are going to be taking place in local communities in places like San Francisco and Seattle. The city governments have already raised the minimum wage in their communities to $15 an hour. The governor of the state of New York has proposed that for the whole state of New York that the minimum wage be raised $15 an hour. So it's going to be issues that we as voters and citizens need to be well aware of and think about the implications for.
I really love the fact that you get differing opinions and that you're able to truly hear from them some of the nuances. As you alluded to earlier, we often hear just black and white, but most issues in the world, and certainly the ones you talked about, are not black and white.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of nuance to it. And whether it changes your overall vote or not, at least you're coming at it from a more knowledgeable base. I know in the ones that I've participated in, I learned so much. The background of Stand Your Ground, I had no idea. The complexities of administration, I still think some things need to be changed, but I learned a lot. And the same with Cuba. I have to say I came knowing very little. One of the new things we've added this year, the Children's Services Council is now sponsoring some high school students to come and participate.
Yes, thank you for doing that. It's wonderful to have the students there.
Well, I think it's important to model for them civil discourse. And they left so charged. They were excited to be looked at and listened to, and they were excited to have that opportunity to learn more. And
Absolutely.
That's a great opportunity. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, let me reiterate. I said the same thing last night to several of our folks afterwards. We had maybe 20 students in the audience last night on the minimum wage issue. And they were active participants. They asked questions. They got involved. And I was thinking exactly the same thing, Cindy. If our young people are thinking that the way you go about discussion of significant, important policy issues in our country is what they see on television, on those television stations where people just yell and scream at each other and never listen to each other. And unfortunately, too often the same thing happening in Washington, D.C. and in Tallahassee. Those are not the models that I think we need for our leaders of the future, our students. And so if that's one of the good outcomes that we have of this also, that we put students in the room, we try to move them around to sit at tables with our community leaders and our political leaders who are there as well so that they can engage with them in conversation. So there's a lot of good outcomes of this. So I, again, thank you for being a participant and helping to support it. We're looking forward to many other good conversations in the future. I think the advisory committee has already discussed a couple of potential topics for upcoming sessions, like transportation issues in Broward County.
Yes. After it took me an hour and 20 minutes to get from one end of the county to the other, I'm all for that discussion.
It's becoming more and more of an issue, isn't it, as we continue to grow, and there's a lot of related issues around this, the potential for the county commission, discussion going on about a potential sales tax increase to help with some of those transportation issues, a lot of things. The high-speed train that's supposed to be starting and potentially within the next year. So lots of mass transit, the new mass transit system, light rail for downtown Fort Lauderdale, and other issues. It would be nice if we could find ways to do even more improvement of our county transportation bus system that so many of our low-income students and residents depend on. Uber, alternative ride-sharing kinds of approaches, etc., are all important topics. So transportation we all care about. We have to move around to jobs and work and school and those kinds of things. And there's some other important topics I know that we'll be discussing in the future as well.
Yeah, I think some institutional racism is the next topic for the big meeting, and that I think is going to offer a wealth of important insights all around.
No doubt.
Excited about that.
Has so many implications as we see across our nation and in our state and local communities, relationships between law enforcement and our low income and minority communities, the role of racism or bigotry and all kinds of things. I mean, we're now in serious conversations about refugees and how they ought to be treated.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be a very important topic for our community, and I'm looking forward to that one as well.
And one of the things that is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine and makes me happy that you're doing this, because in my intro I talked about the commitment that you've had to STEM education and preparing students, whether they're young people or adults, for the workforce. And that is, of course, critical, has to happen. But we also don't want to lose sight of the need to develop people as critical thinkers in general.
Absolutely.
It's great to learn a job skill, but the job market is changing all the time. So that skill that they needed today may not be exactly the same skill that they need tomorrow, but critical thinking never goes out of style.
Very true. Yeah, this is a very important topic for our students and our community, our business community, the workforce issues. We are very committed to STEM programs and helping our students find great careers and education in the STEM career areas. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics are proven to pay more, much better career opportunities. And so we want to provide those opportunities for our students, and we also know that there are growing numbers of jobs in our community in those areas, so we want to provide a trained workforce for our business and industry so that they can prosper and continue to provide more jobs so that we all win. So for those reasons, we're going to continue to focus on that, and we've added lots of new programs. We've made investments in those areas, and we can talk about some of those. I don't want to lose sight of the fact, too, though, that that doesn't mean that we don't support the humanities and liberal arts and the arts, performing and otherwise, as well. So a lot of people talk about adding the arts into STEM. To include it, to call it STEAM, so that the R is in there, the arts are in there. So let me just mention that in addition to strong technology and science and mathematics and engineering focus, we continue to have very strong performing arts programs, especially focused at our central campus where we have Bailey Hall, which we totally renovated last year, just in time for the gubernatorial debate that we hosted. And so that Performing Arts Center has its own entertainment program. In fact, this week, the Miami City Ballet will be there doing their children's or young children's program Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I think, for young people. And so there's a wonderful series of entertaining performing arts programs there. A couple of weeks ago, one of our outstanding theater faculty members who's going to be retiring, I'm sorry to say, Deborah Kondalik, who's been with us for many years now, she is putting on the last big performance with her students of A Raisin in the Sun. Oh. A wonderful play that I think was a Pulitzer Prize winning play from the 50s, based in Chicago, dealing with racial issues. So very timely, and even though it was set back in the 50s, very timely to today's topics. I went to the opening performance of it, and it was a really finely well done performance. I was very proud of our theater students and our faculty who participated in that. So music programs, ceramics and painting, all kinds of arts, and a brand new, well, 2 years old now, art building that's on our central campus that supports the arts. So we've made investments in the arts as well, is the point here. And we'll continue to. But those STEM areas that provide great careers, have invested and opened even this year, as recently as this year, new technology, information technology, and engineering programs. Some of them are fully online and available for students to take. Others are on campuses. We have manufacturing program now that we are expanding. We just got a grant from JP Morgan Chase for about $500,000 to buy some additional equipment to expand that manufacturing program. Lots of great manufacturing jobs here in Broward County, and many of us still think of manufacturing as a lot of greasy, dirty, smoky kinds of environments. It's not that way. It's very high tech, and working with companies like Nipro Diagnostics and others that are in our community, where they provide apprenticeship kind of opportunities or internship opportunities for our students to learn on the job. And then we provide the academic and curriculum kind of background, as well as working on equipment to learn computer numeric control kinds of things and statistical analysis and things that is what manufacturing is really about today. So career opportunities are great there as an example.
Are any of those part of the dual enrollment and college academy programming?
Some of them are, yes. And so dual enrollment, we had more than 4,000 students working with our public school system, which we have a great relationship with. We work very closely with Superintendent Runcie and our principals and high schools especially, with a number of different programs, and dual enrollment being one of them. So dual enrollment, students can enroll in high school in our courses at Broward College and get credit for both their high school courses and college courses. And the real benefit is it's free.
Wow.
So many students, increasing numbers, are taking, in some cases, maybe only 2 or 3 of these courses, but they don't have to pay for it. And then when they do go to college full-time, whether it's here at Broward College or to the University of Florida or wherever it may be, they are able to get credit for those courses, and they don't have to take them again, and they didn't have to pay for them. So there's a big cost savings. You're able to start slowly, maybe taking a few courses and maybe get some of your math and science and English, or maybe your foreign language requirements. Take some of those and get some of the basics out of the way, and then you don't have as heavy a course load when you get to college later on when you graduate. So that's a great benefit that students can take advantage of. I think 90+% of those students who are taking dual enrollment courses are in our public schools or our charter schools, which are public schools as well, approved by our public school system. And then some of them are homeschooled children, and others who maybe are even in our Broward virtual school, like my son was. He is an example of, went to Broward virtual school because he's in a soccer academy now in Germany. But he completed his associate's degree with us after graduating from Broward Virtual School, taking some dual enrollment courses with us. At 17 years old, completed his associate's degree this past May with honors, and now he's enrolled at UCF online in international relations. So dual enrollment's available online and on our campuses, so that the students actually are sitting with real college students, with real college professors, taking English, math, science, and other courses that they can take and get college credit for, and high school credit at the same time. In fact, many students are graduating at the same time they get their high school diploma. They graduate with an associate's degree and then can begin their upper division work at our universities if that's what they want to do.
What a great way to get acclimated. That's fantastic.
Exactly.